when I told my dad I wanted to act, he put on the TV and just flicked through every channel and he went, where are the people that look like you? E.T., Flipper, Free Willy. I love those films, but like we don't have black girls at the centre of those. I feel like that is an important contribution that I want to make to British independent film. Matt Damon, I had like an irrational dislike.
Okay.
He's like, what was it? Oh my gosh, it was Team America. And then I watched Good Will Hunting and I was like, this is amazing. That is the most embarrassing thing, to disregard an actor based on puppets. So stupid.
Hello and welcome to the BIFA Podcast, supported by Kia, with me, Joy Hunter.
And me, Karis, Aldridge. Each week we'll be talking to a brand new guest about their journey into film, their most inspiring cinema-going experiences, and what makes independent film so special. And we've had some incredible guests.
We sure
The likes
have.
of Celia Imrie, David Johnson, Will Poulter. The list goes on, so please do go and check those out.
But also keep listening to today's episode, right, Karis? Because we have got, on this episode, the amazing
Susan Wokoma.
Actor, writer, director, comedian. The list goes on and on.
The ultimate multi-hyphenate, which is what we love to see.
You will know her from her early TV roles in Crazy Head and Chewing Gum,
She's
which
so
we are both
good.
obsessed with.
Yes.
She's had this illustrious long theatre career that we didn't even have time to get into. She was on Taskmaster.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
So
like, she's
much
just
stuff.
popping up doing
Cheaters,
stuff.
the great BBC miniseries,
I
which is
loved
fantastic.
Cheaters so much.
She's honestly in everything. You
Yes,
know, put
including-
anything on the TV, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Susan's head will pop up.
It
so.
sure will, including many upcoming exciting projects that we didn't disclose, but maybe by the time you're listening, there's a little bit more news about, so do look out for those.
Yeah, lots of really fun chat here, and some good deep dives into the industry, which is really fun. So we hope you enjoy this episode.
With the amazing Susan Wokoma.
Welcome to the BIFA Podcast, Susan Wokoma.
Yay,
We are so
That goes wild.
very excited to have you here. You're basically BIFA family at this point, because
BIFA
you
family.
have obviously we did the Croft winners
Yes, we
announcement, which was
did.
amazing.
That was
Loved
really
it. You did the announcement,
Yes,
nominations
yes,
announcement.
I did. I've done that.
You've been on at the awards.
I've been at the awards. I've been on the jury and the
On the
new talent
jury, of
jury. I had a
course.
short that was longlisted in the before times, before COVID. Yeah, I've been sniffing around basically.
Can't get rid of you. Oh my god. No, we absolutely love it. We love how kind of embedded you are in BIFA culture. We usually kick off like going back in time, but we thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about what you love about British independent film and BIFA, and what are some of your favourite films that have come through. Not to put you on the spot too much, but yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It always makes me feel like I'm going to learn something, even in the silliest independent film. That's where we really flourish, I think, as a country. So
One of the few things to be proud of.
Yeah,
I think,
Honestly, don't
I
ever
think-
get patriotic, but when it
Yeah,
comes to
no,
film,
exactly.
like,
we
yeah.
will bat. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that it's just the best talent reside here, basically. And you constantly see talent who sort of disappear into like Marvel or whatever, and they come straight back, because this is where you feel the most like an artist, actually, which
Most
is
alive.
and less like a product, which is really, really important.
Yes,
nice.
absolutely.
Are there some films that you've watched, any great British films that you would recommend?
Um,
Everyone's got to see this one.
Oh
before they
my
die.
goodness. I mean, sort of going back, I would say like Vera Drake was a huge one for me.
Oh, okay.
I'd known of Mike Leigh. Secrets and Lies was like, I think, the first Mike Leigh film that I ever saw. But with Vera Drake, because we were studying it in school, it was the first time that I knew the immediacy of film and issues and things that we were discussing and debating in school that was being made through art, or being, discussed through art. And so that's got a really vivid memory, is like heated debate at school, but also even people who were really opposed to abortion, or opposed to Vera keeping this secret from her family, because it was performed in such a gorgeous, delicate, careful way. You were seeing people maybe sort of change their minds a little bit, or like really understand the desperation to get to the point where you're like, I need help. But then also the disparity in wealth because you have that storyline as well going on, like how easy it is when you have the access. Not necessarily emotionally easy, but like just having the access. So I feel like that was a really big moment where I sort of understood the importance of independent film and what it could do. I mean, from this year, I really enjoyed My Father's Shadow. I really enjoyed Pillion. Those were like the two big ones that I'm like, you look at those two films and they're just polar opposites in terms of what they're trying to say. And yet they're coming from here. Like, that's the excitement, that's the reach. One set in Nigeria, one set in Bromley. Like, it's, and also the talent that it attracts internationally, as well as from these shores. So and also Harry Melling and Chopé I know from National Youth Theatre, so
no way.
I was like, yeah, come on.
As in you were studying at the same time at NYT?
I wasn't at the same time at with Chopé, but I was at the same time with Harry, which was really weird because he was in Harry Potter. So he was just like this famous kid who was recognised all the time, but clearly had a real instinct and real desire to learn more about what we do, and you can tell by like his choices are just outstanding. And obviously choices go hand in hand with opportunity, but like he makes some really amazing choices, and I thought that Pillion was a really smart call for him. I was just very proud from afar.
And any film that gets Alexander Skarsgård to say Chislehurst,
I
am down.
It was
I was
sold before, like I was sold on it, like politically and culturally. I was just like, just give them an award for God's sake.
It was them running out of Bromley Picture House, R.I.P. It's gone now, but like I just thought that's excellent. That's a really good cinematic sign off to a really brilliant cinema.
Oh, real. So you grew up in South London. You've been acting in film and TV since you were really young.
Yeah.
You did National Youth Theatre, you were on children's TV, you later went on to RADA. Has this drive to work as an actor kind of always been there, or is there a kind of time where the spark was lit for you that you can talk about?
If I'm being really honest, I was just told I was good at acting.
Cool.
Or really, I was told I was good at speaking. Really, because I didn't like. There wasn't an opportunity where I sort of like went on stage and everyone was like, "Oh my God, that kid's amazing." It was my English teacher at my secondary school. Shout out St Saviour's and St Olave's, and she just said, "You need to be doing more. Like, you need to just be doing more." And so she suggested National Youth Theatre. They had junior courses, which was like babies, and that was like 2-week courses, and then the older courses were, I think, 1 week. So I applied for National Youth Theatre. I got in. That's when I learned about like, oh, I've got to pay for my course. I didn't know about that, so I like got in touch with like the Prince's Trust then, and like a local school foundation to pay all this stuff that, you know, is much harder to come by. So I think my discovery of acting went hand in hand with the time where there was funding and there was you know, before National Youth Theatre I used to do this Saturday drama group called Saturday Live. Shout out Maria Leaf, my drama teacher, who is now like my best friend. And that was run by English National Opera, and I paid like maybe £10 or £15 a term, and every Saturday we would do like 1 hour of singing, 1 hour of dance, 1 hour of acting, and then we'd go and see operas at the Coliseum, and for like £5 a ticket. All those things don't exist. So I really feel like I was a product of that period and that time, and so I'm very lucky. I don't know how lucky I would be now, but yeah, I just wanted to be doing stuff, and this teacher saw that. So age 14 is when I was like, oh, actually maybe this isn't just fun, maybe this is a career, but I don't really understand. And that's where I was told about the whole concept of drama school, and then I got spotted, and I had an agent before drama school, so then I started going to audition. It was all kind of like topsy-turvy, and then I got my first TV job, and then I did this CBBC thing,
Serious Jungle.
Serious Jungle.
Don't worry, we know, Susan. I watched that when I was growing up.
Did you?
Yeah, I will talk about CBBC programmes with anyone who will listen. I love them so much.
God.
Yeah. So how did you get onto that programme? This is not the only question I want to ask you, by the way, but I'm desperate to know.
I went through a phase of like applying for loads of competitions. So I was the kid who was like,
such a thing,
right into life and kick in and do this, blah, blah, blah. And I remember like there was with Coca-Cola, you could the rings of the cans, and you could stick them onto a piece of paper and send them off. You get sent CDs. And I was always that kid. And
I'm just remembering doing one with my friend that was about like what different pudding can you make with a banana,
stuff like that.
And we spent like an entire weekend making different things.
Like, honestly,
banana.
kids were so bored, man.
Our poor mums were just like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
But anyway,
we were the same.
It's an important phase. I think.
So the CBBC thing was a competition. It was like, write in, here's a show, you all get to go off abroad. What do you love about animals? Let me tell you something. I know nothing about animals. We didn't have pets. My mum didn't allow animals in the house. I had no relationship with like nature.
I think there is a great bit where you're like, I'm not scared of spiders. If I see a spider, I'll just kill it.
Yeah,
I was like,
excellent. On a conservation
she was born to be a
CBBC.
star. Brilliant.
Iconic.
But yeah, so I just applied, and it snowballed. It got out of control. That's I didn't have any kind of like, I really want to work in like television. I just applied, and then before I knew it, I was in the Lake District doing like the kind of like tester weekend. And then,
so just to explain, it's kind of like a reality show for kids. It was like a competition, wasn't it, to get, can you go on this trip to the jungle?
Yeah, I feel like it was one of the early reality TV shows here, because it was all around that time when that was all starting. And so I didn't have any...
Early 2000s?
We're so I was 14, so we're 2002.
Oh wow, so yeah, really early days.
So I didn't know what I was doing. So I remember sort of, I was doing the show and having a really good time and holding orangutans and like seeing trees.
Seeing trees.
Like never seen these before. Like incredible. First time on a plane. I was just, it was incredible.
Wow.
And then when the show came out, it was like, do you fancy so-and-so? And I was like, no.
Oh.
No, I don't fancy. So how you feeling? Do you miss your mum? I was like, no.
Oh, like the producers are asking you that?
Yeah. Because they ask you like, how are you feeling? Are you feeling a little bit scared? No. What do you feel about the spider might bite you? And I was like, no, it won't. Because you're not going to let it happen because I'm a child.
Yeah. And the insurance policy will literally not let that happen.
Me. We've got a medic following us around. That never happens.
I'm the safest I've ever been.
I
love it.
Like, no, I'm not scared of anything. You're going to miss your mum. I was like, no, because she's there.
Thinking at like 13 years old to be like, no, obviously.
Yeah, I'm not scared.
Brilliant.
Oh, that's a really high thing to climb. Can you do it? I'm like, yes, because I'm 14. I've got the most collagen I will ever have in my body. I'm going to climb that thing and I'm going to be fine. Even if I fall, I'll be fine.
Chill. It's so chill.
It was just, I was so chill. And then when the show came out, it was like a kind of big lesson where because I didn't have any issues, like I was not really featured. In it that much, not as much,
and they were looking for drama. They were,
and that's where I realised that even these reality TV shows, they have storylines. They have things that they follow, which is fair enough. It probably wasn't that interesting television, but it was a really fascinating time. And I was like going to the old BBC TV studios that I'd always seen on TV, and I'm understanding the process of it. It was an amazing experience. But yeah, then coming back and being like semi-famous,
does that get you like serious street cred at school? Is everyone like, oh my God.
Do you know what? And it could have gone wrong, but like everyone genuinely thought it was like cool.
The coolest.
It was really cool.
Oh yeah.
So I got away with it. There wasn't any like bullying or whatever. It was more just like, oh my God, like, did you touch an orangutan? I was like, yeah, they're actually really sweet creatures, and you know that our DNA is kind of like more or less like 99.99% the same.
Whoa, yeah.
So you know, got little fingernails like us.
I can imagine everyone gathering round for your stories.
So silly.
I love it.
At what point did you tell your parents, like literally on the plane, being like, so by the way,
I didn't tell.
Don't panic.
So I snuck off to have like this audition day. I didn't have a chaperone with me. This is mad.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, I'm probably not going to get in. And then when I got in, I remember just looking at her and her going, like she didn't know what any of it meant.
Yeah, right.
Why are you taking my child?
Yeah.
Like what? It got out of control, and then I was in Malaysia.
Yeah.
just
in Malaysia.
I had a habit of like not telling my parents stuff until
the last.
Until the last moment. Yeah. Fun child.
You weren't done with the CBBC channel at that point because you did another role. You did that summer day, the drama about the 7/7 bombing. So that was something to do with the show that you were on before that helped you get that, or was that your theatre work?
That was out theatre work. So
Okay.
I think I'd done a show with National Youth Theatre, and I'd been spotted by an agent. So this was the first time that I
Okay.
learned about like agents and
Yeah,
stuff.
because we were wondering like when you got the agent, because you just
Yeah.
seem to have been doing stuff out the gate.
I mean, no, it was through National Youth Theatre.
Cool.
By this point, I was maybe 17, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the London bombings had happened, and obviously that was scary
Yeah.
and strange. I was on the way to school when there was helicopters and everything there, and one of the bombs was at Edgware Road. So like it was really nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Close to home.
so when we got this audition, I remember just thinking, wow, like you can do that. You can write about real things that have happened so soon. Because of my relationship to that and being in London and being a kid in London at that time, I really wanted it. And so, auditioned for it like everybody else. And then got it. And so filming that was strange. It was all about trying to help children understand what had happened and a really changing world. It was a really great experience. But just things like I didn't know when you start acting, like saying action. I just thought it's just, you just
did
speed,
it.
sound speed. But I was like, what's all that? And then I remember my first take going to John East, our director, just going, I don't know when to start. He was like, now. And I was like, okay.
That's so
Just
sweet.
like all those, it was really kind of seminal sort of figuring
Yeah.
out how it all works. It was
Yeah.
amazing. What was interesting was after I wrapped, I said to my agent, I want to go to drama school. And she said, you don't need to go to drama school. This was all around the time of like kidulthood
Right.
and street casting, and so she was just like, you're young and you can work and you don't need drama school, you've got it. But the thing when I did that summer day, I didn't know what was good. If I did a good take, I didn't know why. If I did a bad take, I didn't know why. And I felt a little bit out of control. And maybe if I get loads more acting jobs, I would figure out what that is. You get better on the job,
Yeah.
which is great. But even then I knew that being a black actress, I wasn't going to be getting tons and tons and tons and tons of work. So I was like, I need to show up ready. I can't just rely on instinct and being in the right place at the right time for a project and being the right age for the right project and blah blah. I sort of need to like be all over it. So we had a conversation and she was like, look, you're going to miss out on lots of stuff. And I was like, I feel so out of control, and if I want to do this, then I need to be skilled,
Yeah.
really. So it was there that I decided I'm going to apply for drama school. And just like anything, I think I want to know what I'm doing. I want to be able to deliver under duress,
Right.
because that
Yes.
happens. Like
Yes,
this is the stuff that you don't really realise is like as you get older, you turn up on set. I did a film last year. My mum died like 2 days before, and there I was in Tenerife, like doing this film. Same with my dad. I arrived in Nigeria to do adaptation of Half of Yellow Sun, and he died my first morning. And you've got to go to work. Like, and if I hadn't gone to drama school, I wouldn't have learnt
The
really
tools.
basic, seemingly superficial tools that
Yeah.
could just get me through. I have to say that's like the main reason why I went to drama school, was like, how do you do your job no matter what?
The circumstances.
Within reason, though. Sometimes go home.
Yeah.
Sure.
not every day, like just get it in the can. But I knew instinctively then that I needed to know more.
Yeah, and understand like the language of
Yeah.
like screen acting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what it takes. Like I always say, like, know what play you're in, and I use that with screen as well. Like, what is the thing that you're creating? Even if I'm auditioning where it seems like nothing is in my control, I'll always say, why are you making this? Always ask why. Why do you want to do it? Why does anyone, like, you never need to make a film.
Why have I not heard that before? Because I'm like, yeah, that should be what you ask.
Always.
yeah.
Well, I feel like a lot of the
Yeah.
time actors don't feel like they can ask things, or we're made to feel so helpless. But I feel like when I started writing, that's when I asked myself why.
Yeah.
I did not start writing and take the very first commission that I got. I always knew that if I was going to bother with the hard work and the knockbacks of writing and trying to create my own thing, I need to be absolutely sure why I'm speaking.
Yeah.
Otherwise someone else can do it. And what I'm saying that's particular to my voice or experience or whatever. And so as an actor, I took that in with acting. So now the first thing I'll say is why.
Yeah.
And the why can be to entertain, to make people laugh. Like all those things are equally, doesn't have to be some sort of like you know, sociological mission statement. But I like, as an actor, knowing why we're all here, why we're all leaving our families and friends to spend 6 weeks in the middle of nowhere. Like, I think it's a good thing. And I think I learnt that from theatre, because when you're in rehearsals, you've got everyone in that room and there's a real sense of like mounting the thing. Whereas with an actor, you can turn up on set as like the last piece of the puzzle and you can feel a little bit like, oh, what's going on? I don't know anyone's name. Oh, you're playing my husband. I've just met you 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Right.
I just felt like I needed to learn how to integrate all of that. Again, it's practice, but you get to practice at drama school.
We had Eddie Marzen on the podcast a few weeks ago. He said someone told him they were going to teach him how to act, how they would teach someone to become a mechanic.
Yeah.
And it was very technical. And this idea of like a professional is someone who can do it in any circumstance, I think seems to ring true with your experience as well. It seems like because you've had quite a few of these opportunities and training and education in this world when you were quite young, don't for a minute presume that all of those experiences were perfectly brilliant, but you have a sense perhaps from that, I wonder, about like your worth and the importance, as you were saying, of sometimes saying no and understanding the point of what you're doing before you commit to it. Is that something that you've learned as you go through experience, or something you've perhaps always been told to remember to have? Because I know with acting often it can be just getting your foot through the door is so hard that sometimes perhaps that importance of knowing your worth and knowing that you cannot do everything is potentially lost in sight of just trying to get a job.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, I became an actor because one teacher one time said you'd probably be good at it, which is cool. But then I had to go through a process of understanding why I'm doing it. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean that that's your vocation. So I think I went through a process of figuring out why I love it, really. And I think all those different things, the National Youth Theatres, the, you know, English National Opera, you know, free tickets to the opera and stuff like that, those were all the experiences that made me go, oh, that's what moves me. That doesn't move me. I assembled my taste.
Yes.
Like even at not drama school, at sixth form, our teacher would buy a season of tickets at the National, and we all had to give money at the beginning of term, and we were all like, oh, whatever, just want to buy sweets. And then, but it meant that we were constantly going. That was like the first time I went to go and see plays constantly.
It's amazing.
And that's where I gathered my taste.
Yeah.
And then your taste, I think, then can influence your worth of going, no, I that's the kind of work, that's the kind of actor that I love, those are the kind of directors, that's the kind of writers that I love. So I think it's sort of, that's how that started happening. But ultimately I became an actor because I wanted friends. I felt very misunderstood as a kid, and I mean that, like I would say things and then it wouldn't come out the way that I wanted. And so acting was a way of communicating with such fluidity, and I loved that feeling. And finding other people who felt misunderstood and creating something together I loved. So in a way, I feel like figuring out what my taste is helped with the self-worth. But I think that I've had to learn a certain degree of discernment as an actor, and realising, you know, this is workplaces and not just BFFs forever and that sort of thing, because I can sort of turn up with, you know, everything bleeding sometimes, and that's great in some company. It's the reason why I've got the amazing friends around me. But in other companies, I think, you know, some of the personalities that the industry attracts, it's not so great actually. You do have to be discerning, and I think those unfortunate experiences is where I had to really learn like my worth of what I will take and what I won't take. And learning to use my voice, and learning not to worry about, you know, being thought of as the angry black woman, because somebody's going to believe that. Someone's going to call you that. Someone's going to call you that.
It's always compounded with that feeling, isn't it?
Always. And so I think it was me working out what my taste was as an actor, and then sort of by osmosis a writer, and going through experiences where I've had to learn discernment and understand that even though I'm being someone else on stage or on screen, the more that I can sort of take my time with the people around me, that's when I realise, oh, we are actually connected, and I do want to work with you, or I do want to come over for tea, rather than just going, yeah, I'll come over for tea, I'll be your friend, and like not really knowing someone. Because if you think about it, you turn up on set, you meet somebody, they're playing your best friend. You've got to get that chemistry straight away. You don't always have rehearsals, you don't always have chemistry tests, and so there is a kind of very expedited intimacy that happens with our work that you don't really get any other sector. And I think that I've had to learn how to be less trusting, which sounds like bad, but ultimately it's good. I remember my therapist was like, Susan, you can't walk around the world just trusting everybody. That's mental. And I was like, I don't think you can use the word mental. But she did.
Didn't they say not to use that one?
I don't think she's meant to use it, but she did. And I was like, damn, you really want me to learn that lesson. Breaking protocol.
But also being an actor or actress is about vulnerability. So I guess it's, there's a bit of a balance to be had.
It's the juxtaposition of the two.
Having the discernment and, that you need to navigate a business where anyone can join, basically. Like, you do not have to have credentials to be a producer. You can just meet some absolute rogue salesmen, politicians just going, I want to produce, and then you're just at the mercy of just like really awful people, but then keeping that softness and that curiosity. I think as an actor, I think if I'm letting myself being run ragged by the industry, I've got nothing left to give when it comes to action.
I feel like I saw you talking about like reading reviews online as well, and that was being a really big learning lesson of like, okay, yes, you can have 10 amazing reviews, but there's always going to be that one, and that actually it's better to just protect yourself and protect the art and focus on that.
There is a lone person out there who doesn't think that Viola Davis can act. Do you know what I mean? There's a wrong, lone, lonely, bitter person who thinks that Viola Davis cannot act. There is always somebody who's not going to understand you or vibe with you or get you or like you. For whatever reason, I've had like irrational dislikes of actors. I'm like, no, I just don't. No.
Like,
and then I've had to like sit down and be like, here's one, and he's never going to see this. He might actually. Matt Damon, I had like an irrational dislike.
Okay.
And then I realised it was because of Team America. My irrational dislike manifested like this. There's a Matt Damon film, and I was like, no. No, I don't. No, no. And then I traced it back. It was a boyfriend, actually. And he was like, what is wrong with you? He's very talented. He's very talented. Good Will Hunting. And I was like, no, not for me. And he's like, what was it? What was it? And I thought about it and I went, oh my gosh, it was Team America. I'm an idiot. And then I watched Good Will Hunting and I was like, this is amazing.
He's a revelation. Such an idiot.
Like, so basically, what I'm saying is that I'm a hater and I'm easily influenced with my sponge brain. But, there's always going to be someone who doesn't get it. There's people who just don't get it.
And it's not your job to make them get it either.
What's it? It's Stormzy lyric. If you don't rate me, shame on you. That's just like how... I navigate. I don't have the time. I don't care. I don't look. I got off Twitter. It's so profoundly none of my business. I think because online is just, it's so awful. I think you have to be really militant about that more than ever. I mean, sometimes I think back in the day it might be cute to like see a little
click
review
on a
of
review,
yours,
and now it's like you have millions of people's opinions thrown at you instantaneously.
I remember there was I did a play with Tamsin Gregg, who was a massive hero of mine. I was obsessed with Green Wing growing up, and then I'm there doing a play with her. I remember being in her dressing room before the show, and she got this letter from this woman, because it was a play by James Graham, and we were having to all do Nottingham accent, and this letter was by this woman that just said, me and my husband left at the interval, we just thought it was terrible, we thought your accents were bad, you Tamsin, you did this other performance that was really brilliant, and this just didn't match to it. And she was howling. She was howling, and she just put it up by her mirror, and I was like, that's crazy. She was like, it's sort of part of the rites of passage, is that you do that thing that was really bad, or not that our play was bad, our play was brilliant and it won an Olivier, but like you get those reviews. It is sort of part and parcel. Even the greatest actors will be like, oh my gosh, I remember in 72 when that person said, it's sort of, I sort of appreciate I don't feel like you're a real actor until you've been bashed a little bit.
Right, yeah.
But like, not online. I don't care what, whoever online, but like, it is a little bit part of it. And if you can find the humor in it, that was a really big moment for me, just watching this amazing woman just go,
just take it
that's
on
funny.
Yeah.
It's sort of part of it, I think, but within reason.
Yeah.
Someone had to like write a letter, get a stamp, get an envelope to do that, whereas now people just
Yeah.
How do people find the
I know,
time
got
for
the time,
that? Honestly,
literally.
truly, like, get a life.
if I don't like something, I'm like, I didn't like it. I didn't go on the internet and say I don't like Matt Damon.
Exactly.
To let him get on with it, and then I came around.
You
This
just
is
said that
where-
to anyone who would listen around.
Yeah.
Like a normal person.
Matt Damon, I'm
Thank you.
so sorry. That's the most embarrassing. Like, as an actor, I'm an actor. That is the most embarrassing thing, to disregard an actor based on puppets.
I've got a few where I'm like, that person was evil. Like, they played an evil
Yeah,
character, and then I'm
yeah.
like, oh, I hate them. And then I'm like, am I stupid? Like,
Yeah,
I know that
yeah,
it's,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
acting. They are acting.
Yeah.
But
I got like
I
that
still
with
have to
soaps.
go through that in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got like that with soaps. I'm gonna watch
Yeah.
EastEnders. I'll be like, no, that person's bad. They did that to Tiffany. I don't like them. And then you're just
Dirty
like,
Dead.
you're like,
You're like, don't
I'm
you
like,
dare
oh, don't
come
you
around
dare.
here.
Don't you dare.
Well, these
thing is, I do love moments like that because it reminds me that I still get taken with
In,
a narrative,
exactly.
which
Yeah.
is lovely. Rather than sort of being clinical about absolutely everything, I can be that invested in story, and then I'm like, stories, aren't they great?
Aren't they amazing?
Sorry, Matt Damon.
We were talking a little bit about RADA
Yeah.
and your interest in going there to sort of learn this more technical side, perhaps. What was your experience like there? I know it's very, it's like the
Yeah.
drama school,
Yeah.
but perhaps
With
a
a
lot of people have
checkered
spoken about
past.
mixed experiences there.
Yeah, I feel like your experience at RADA depended on what your acting tutor was. I had an acting tutor called Alex Clifton, and rather than going, you're wrong, do that again, stop, do that again, that's rubbish, he would just let you figure it out and guide you. I didn't feel like I had to be flashy. I didn't feel like I had to trample over what someone else was doing in his class. I felt like he understood and encouraged the subtlety of what we do, the gentleness of what we do. And as a result, I had a really, really robust first year at drama school where a lot of those things, your foundations are set. The rest of it was not as great.
Sure.
The thing that I found difficult, which I didn't find difficult in Alex's classes, was there was always this idea of the neutral, the neutral actor, the neutral spying, the neutral this, the neutral, how you hold your body. And I was like, who is that based on? Because I know it isn't a black woman.
Amen. Yeah.
And I remember being told I'm holding too much tension in my lower back, like I'm arching my back. And I was like, that's my body.
Yeah.
I have a shelf.
Sorry, but that I got an
Guys,
ass that won't
oh
quit,
my
guys.
God.
Okay.
It's just-
well, thank you for mentioning
It's
it.
high.
Actually.
It's high,
I
guys.
think we've got the headline of the podcast.
It's just not quitting. And they were like, no, you're holding tension. So then I spent a lot of time sort of curving my
Arching your
back, which is
back.
not good
Yeah.
if that's not what your spine does.
Yes.
And so like that, I got like a little bit of lower back pain because I was holding my body in this way.
Contorted.
And also being told that, I was told that I had a really high girly voice. And I was like, I don't. So for a while I was talking like that, which is so
Really bad for your
damaging.
voice. Yeah.
So that was the thing that I came up against. I was like, who is this neutral actor you're trying to get us to be? Because I think it doesn't resemble me. And at the end of the day, the reason why I've got a lot of work is because of me,
Yeah.
of me walking into the room, not me trying to pretend to be someone else with a different voice or whatever. So that was the thing I found quite hard because I just kept thinking, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. This is going to be so much harder for me out there. And in some ways, that was proven. Like, I've got to work a lot harder for stuff, or you do work really hard and no one really cares. But the thing that I always came home to was that foundation of that nurturing environment of performance in that first year. Without that, I think I would have been lost at sea.
Yeah.
And because I was just also, I wasn't kidding myself of like how much harder it was going to be for me. I remember when I told my dad I wanted to act, he called me into his room and put on the TV and just flicked through every channel, and he went, where are the people that look like you?
Oh my God.
And I was like, but he was right.
I know, I was going to say,
he was right. And you're seeing a big rollback in that in the last couple of years, where less and less and less and less. So you don't want to walk around with that on your shoulders. But I looked at everybody, and I just thought, yeah, my route is not going to be what you're all competing for.
Yeah.
So you all do that, and I'll just go and do what I'm doing.
Yeah,
sure.
Basically.
That kind of brings us on quite nicely to changes that we want to see within the industry. You know, a lot of people still say the only way to get into the industry is drama school. Do you still feel like that is the case? Do you feel like there are other accessible ways for people to get into the industry? What's your relationship with it all now, kind of looking back?
I feel like drama school's about, or any higher education is about money. When I graduated, literally as I graduated, they tripled tuition fees.
You were that year when it went up.
Yeah. I was the last year.
Yeah,
and then
remember that.
Had I gone to drama school any later, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. So I feel that what drama school did give you, it gave you a showcase that, especially a drama school like RADA, they all turn up. Like very few agents or casting directors go, I'm not going to go to the RADA showcase. They all go.
Yeah.
And that is real. But I think now you just have to do what you can within your means, whether it's go to different classes, whether it's apply for the rep company at National Youth Theatre, whether it's getting your mates together and creating short films and reels for each other or whatnot. Like, gone are the days of this is the route. I think that's across the board. Like, I grew up with, you know, Tony Blair, education, and then we all graduated into a recession.
Yeah.
So I had friends that went to Oxbridge who couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the this is what you've got to do in order to get this, all those rules are gone.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, don't look at anybody else and go like, that's how they did it, so that's how I'm going to do it. I think the paths are murky, and as scary as that is, it also gives you a freedom to just go for it in any way that aligns with you, without sort of going, oh, this is how Kenneth Branagh did it.
Right.
Like, don't worry about him.
It's not
like,
a linear path.
It's not linear.
Yeah.
And even actors who, you know, are my peers, we get frustrated. We go, no, at this age I should have this or be doing this. I'm like, that world is kind of dead.
Yeah.
So as scary as that is, and we have to mourn that, I also think that there's nothing really I can tell a young actor, whether it's young in age or young to the game, what to do. I just feel like the main thing is making sure that you're seeing as much as you can, developing your taste basically, rather than sort of being swayed by like what you should be doing or who you should be working with or whatnot. Developing your taste, I think, knowing what you want to say, whether that's as a writer or a performer, but outside of that, do whatever feels right, I think.
Yeah. And another of the changes in the industry that is interesting, that's kind of happened mostly since COVID, but has been changing for a while, is the auditioning process, which I know you had quite a lot. You had a lot of thoughts on it, and I want to hear about those thoughts, because we spoke about it a little bit on our previous episode with Louise Brealey. I would love to kind of hear your thoughts about this. Obviously, there's been this huge movement towards self-taping, which some people feel like has brought more opportunities and others less so. So yeah, I'd love to know what you feel about that.
Without a question, self-tapes have opened the door to a lot more people who can't just make it to London, whether it's for financial reasons, whether it's, you know, to do with disability, you know, not being able to just like turn up to Soho. I completely understand that and respect that, and I've always said that I feel like tapes should be a choice. So I'm not saying a blanket ban on tapes. I say all of that to say not a blanket ban on tapes, but it doesn't allow human beings to be in the same room, and all filming is human beings in the same room. And that is the thing that alarms me, is that you can't meet the director or the producers or the writers and get a vibe.
Yeah.
I've been in so many meetings where I've got a bad vibe.
You said you were auditioning them as well as them auditioning you.
I've had mental things. I remember there was one director who I've been warned by the casting director, you know who you are, who messaged me and said he's a bit strange.
Okay.
And just know that we're there to support you.
This
Obviously,
is a director or
a
an
casting
actor?
director had said this to me before.
Immediate
About
alarm
a director.
bells.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I went in and he was just on his skateboard. Just doing this. Like just sliding side
like
to side.
a boy, a young
And I'm
boy.
doing my scene and he just went, yeah, do you want to do that again? And I remember
The way I would flip my lid.
I looked at the casting directors and they both just went,
Oh God, it's so embarrassing.
oh my God. It was the weirdest. Why are you on a skateboard?
Yeah,
Mid-scene.
You're a grown man.
Like, what? And then I didn't get that part, but then they offered me another part. And it wasn't filming in the UK. And I just said to my agent, I don't feel comfortable going to another country with that guy. He didn't even look at me. And I guess because they were filming the audition, so he watched it after. But you did nothing in that room to make me feel comfortable. So what are you going to do when I'm on the set? Another audition I had, the director, you know who you are, started smoking.
Whoa.
What?
Started smoking during my audition. Gosh. Just lit a cig. And it was a recall. So I'd met this director, really, really got on. And then my recall, it was another space. It was really, really strange. Mid-scene, just... And like eyeballing me as in like, what are you going to say?
Like a power play almost.
Yeah.
It's so icky.
And it's things like that. I left and I called my agent and I went, I don't want to work with
someone
this
like
person.
That. Why would you?
Like that was... It sort of was like goading me to like, what are you going to say? And I just was like, I just want to act. Like, it ain't that deep. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't want me here, I don't need to be here. Like, it was so strange. So those are those moments that I'm like, if I'm just taping for that person and I don't know that they have that in their arsenal to be so cruel, because it's cruel.
It is.
You don't know. And I'm not saying that that's the case with everyone. I'm not trying to make people feel scared about the industry, but I just think sometimes you just don't vibe. You just don't get each other.
Yeah.
Like I said before, some people just don't get you. Some directors are much more clinical and technical and sort of let the actors do what they want. If you don't know that going in, you can feel like that director hates you or that director, you know, isn't good at communication. If they're just that kind of director, then at least I know to ask questions like, how do you work on set and and all that stuff. The big why questions, like I said at the beginning, why do you want to make it? I can't ask that. Mm-hmm. And then there's like full body slates. I'm not showing you my home. I'm really big on this, especially with what happened to Lucas Gage during lockdown.
Oh, yeah, when they had a go at his flat.
They were basically cutting out his apartment.
Yeah.
And the director didn't put themselves on mute. And after I watched that, I was like, you're not seeing my home.
Yeah.
I don't want you to know where I live. I don't want you to be like, oh, look at that and blah, blah, blah. Also, I've got a really colourful flat. I'm not getting a white wall and a big background. No, you're going to deal with royal blue at the background. Oh, I can't concentrate. Well, then you're not good at your job. What do you mean? Why are you getting... Like, when you go into an audition room, there'll be all sorts in the room. And I have to concentrate.
Yeah.
I have to concentrate when you're smoking. I have to concentrate when you decide to start doing ollies on your skateboard. But you can't bear a portrait on the wall. And also the amount of money my friends would spend on self-tape studios or on lights and all that sort of stuff, I think is completely unfair, unnecessary. Zoom auditions? What if your internet connection's not great?
It's like the actor equivalent of the work from home thing where the costs are they're put back off the company and onto
You.
person. And
Yeah.
like there was like one scheme where it was like you could get a little bit of cash for a chair or something and that was it. And it was just like everyone's like paying their bills, like my heating bill goes up if I work from home, and you know, things like that. There's just like,
I just don't think people think all of that through. I had a recall audition for an HBO show over Zoom, and it was really, also they're in LA, it was really late. I think it was at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So I'd had a full day. My internet wasn't working.
And they're like, fresh out.
yeah.
And the director was just like, it's just not flowing. I'm like,
I wonder why.
Famously like the most awkward technology ever invented. Like how are you meant to have a vibe or chemistry or anything on there?
Flowing. I was like, oh
God.
I just feel that nothing beats being in the room. And also, eventually, you are going to be in the room. So I think that people need to make sure that the option is there. also, lastly, I get more stuff in rooms. I think that people feel that I'm nice to work with. I'm somebody who they want on set. I most of my early career definitely was me walking into the room knowing that they'd seen mainly white actresses for this role, and me coming in and them going, actually,
this works.
This really works.
Yeah.
Whereas with a tape, I feel like what you're doing is you're looking for someone to slot into your version of what that is.
Yes.
You have to get it right.
Yes.
Whereas in a room, I can do one take with you that's not great. You give me notes. I'm a notes master as well. Give me a note. I'll spin this thing round. You don't get to do that. You don't get notes. So I can at the very least, I can prove in a room that I can act.
Yeah.
And I've had people go, wow, oh my God. And I don't get the role, but they go, wow, that was, and I walk out going, yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. I probably won't get it. But yeah, I really made them go, whoa. And you don't get any of that with tapes. And I just think it's a real shame. And I know that a lot of actors are really struggling with how impersonal it all feels.
The disconnect.
And we don't need more of that. I feel like if you need people to come to London or come to a certain place for auditions, make that happen. Have the allowance for that. In terms of people being physically able to do that and financially able to do that. I think that we need to encourage that more in our industry. Otherwise, it's just going to feel like divorced from what we do.
Yeah.
I think.
Is there a specific role where you feel like you did exactly that? You came in, you wowed them and you were like, okay, and nailed that role and got it?
Yeah, Crazy Head, which was a Channel 4
your first lead
Netflix.
role on screen?
Yeah. I was very late in. I knew loads of people going up for it, for this thing. And I was like, sounds cool. Netflix was a very new concept then. So whole new world, for better, for worse. Yeah. But I knew loads of people going up for it. I didn't get seen for it. And then really last minute, I went in. I had 2 auditions. I got it. And even to the point where like Raquel wears a varsity jacket, and I went in because I used to collect varsity jackets from secondhand shops, and they were like, we love the look, we're going to take it. And I was like, damn, now I can't wear varsity jackets because everyone's going to think, why are you dressing like your character? So that was gone, that style was gone. But I genuinely thought, I walked in and they went, oh, okay. I miss being able to do that because we all have our USPs. People can ace tapes and whatnot, but for me I'm just better in the room.
You're personable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Case in point right here.
Everyone's having a good time. Is everyone having a good time with me in the room?
Keep the good times going.
There you go.
So yeah, you had that lead role in Crazy Head. You were also in Chewing Gum.
I was also in Chewing Gum.
Time.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your experience on that show. I am obsessed with it.
Michaela had written a one-woman show, but
Yeah,
there was
Chewing
no
Gum Dreams.
Chewing Gum Dreams, but there was no sister.
Oh, okay.
There was no sister character. And then we had done a play together, and she had said, look, I've written this part called Cynthia and I'd love you to audition. And I was like, okay. So it was really the same as any other job. I thought with Chewing Gum it would be like the beginning of this explosion of young female black voices in TV, but that didn't really happen. So but it felt like it was so completely unique, and this is why it was unique. It was written the way it was written, made the way it was made, very kind of British London, and then it took off on Netflix in the States.
Yeah,
in a way that proved this thing, which is, or disproved this thing, which is, in order for something to travel across the pond or to other countries, you need to appeal to a mass audience, and we all know what that's code for, right? None of that happened because we didn't make it. It wasn't meant to have international appeal. That wasn't a thing. You did shows here in the UK and they wouldn't really see the light of day anywhere else ever, really. But then it got picked up and it took off internationally. And for me, whenever I'm in discussions about like, we need to appeal to masses, I will list a whole bunch of things and be like, well, that wasn't, and that wasn't, and that's and that didn't compromise itself and what it was saying and how the character spoke. And yet it did all of that. So it's a lie. For me, it was a real example, the first big example of going, all that is a lie. I think that when people say it's got to appeal to mass audiences, it's about a lot of people being too scared that they're not in control of the thing because they don't get it.
Right.
It's about traveling to what the people are saying or what the characters are going through or the way that they live. You have to travel towards it. And I think there's a lot of reluctant people who are prepared to be students. Whereas I will read, I don't know, remember the first time I read Jane Austen, I was like, I don't know why they're all crying about being single at 25. But like, I'm in.
But I'm in.
Yeah.
Let me learn.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, damn. You need marriage in order to have this. And oh my gosh. And that's what happens if you don't. That's pretty, all right. The stakes are up. I didn't really be like, I love not understanding stuff. I really do. Discovery, it's great.
Yes.
But I feel like a lot of the time with broadcasters, with execs, that in order to control it, they feel like I need to completely understand it.
Right,
when actually I'm like, be led sometimes.
Yes.
Be led. And time and time again, it only ends up in wonderfulness. And that's what Chewing Gum was. We didn't have to compromise any of it in order for it to be loved by so many different people. So that's what was mad. It just felt like we were making this tiny little thing, and then it just grew.
When a show's like a breakout hit, I've got a lot of friends who work in development, and they say like everything becomes a version of that show that's then pitched afterwards. Like there was a while when it was like everything getting not everything, but a lot of stuff getting pitched was Succession meets this, or this is the new Succession, and it's like we liked a show like Chewing Gum, Succession, because it was new and different, and now we want to see the new thing, not the recycled worse version of that thing.
But do you know what I think also happens with that is, I saw this with Fleabag. Because by the time Fleabag was out, I'd started writing. And so the conversations I was having about shows, television, film, was different now because I was speaking to a lot more creatives. And I love Fleabag. I think that Phoebe is a genius writer. But then what happened was people were so quick to go, but it's like Fleabag.
I see.
But it's like Fleabag. I'm like, well, we've only had one Fleabag. I'd like a few, actually. I think we're due. The amount of TV shows with detectives who are, they've got a bit of a drinking problem, but they're a bit brilliant. Like, just, there's always that guy who's just there with the whiskey, and then he goes in and he cracks the case. So many. I mean, so many. Cracker is my favourite TV show, hands down.
So good.
OG with Fitz. OG Fitz. Like, nobody beats that. I was watching Cracker when I was too young. It's affected my brain chemistry. But that's how, like,
you ride or die.
So it's not like I hate these shows. I love these shows, but we have so many of them.
Exactly.
So this idea of going like, it's like Fleabag. I'm like, I want some more Fleabags.
Totally.
What good TV with female central characters?
Yes,
sure.
please. Yeah.
And so I feel like that kind of like, it needs to be this, is this, like this meets this, I think is reserved for other shows. I think that when it's kind of centering women or centering non-black, non-white voices, I feel that we go, we've let one in.
Yes.
And we've done
There's
that.
only room for
and we're
that
going to
one.
live on that for like 6, 7, 8 years.
We've ticked that box.
We've ticked that box. That's what, so I'm not, if some, like, I remember when Black Panther came out, and obviously everybody was excited, everybody got dressed up, I was having a really great time. I remember my friends who were outside of the industry going, oh my God, you must be so excited. This must be amazing. I was like, yeah, but I want to see the copycats of Black Panther. I don't want to have to wait for Black Panther 2 to get Black Panther again. And that's exactly what happened. The next time we had a Black Panther was Black Panther 2. And that proves my theory. Is just like, we don't look at, if things are about commercial success, we don't follow those patterns of commercial success in the way that we do when we get male white voices at the helm of it. Like, even just all the discussion around like Sinners, which proved itself where, regardless of whether you like the film or not, you're crazy if you don't like the film, but it did business.
But a lot of business.
A lot of damn business.
But then the conversations around its success, there's such a reluctance.
100%. Yeah.
And again, I think it all comes back to like control of the thing. If the reason why something works and it engages with a large audience is an equation that you don't recognize, I think it still scares people, rather than people going, all right, what's this new equation? Let's crack this open. All right. Like, it doesn't ignite the same sense of excitement. It evokes fear.
have you seen the conversation around You, Me and Tuscany, the new film?
No,
And
I haven't watched
tweet,
it. Sorry, guys.
I will be watching it.
Yeah,
but have you seen the tweet that went viral?
No, what was it?
Of a writer who basically said, I need You, Me and Tuscany to be a huge box office success because I'm pitching my own black-led romantic comedy, and I've already had loads of pushback being like, well, if this film doesn't do well, that's basically it.
What? Yeah, but
this tweet has now gone viral, obviously, because everyone's like, look at the ways that the parameters are so different.
Oh my God, so different.
For black writers, black creatives. It's like if you can point to one thing, and if it doesn't do well, that's the doors shut forever. Instead of looking at like Rye Lane, which was a huge success that which remains on everyone's lists as like one of the best rom-coms of the century.
The next Rye Lane?
Exactly.
Then coming to the other side of things, creating stuff, I'm constantly being told like these are the actors who are going to finance a film, and I'm not going to put any actors on the spot because we're all trying, all actors. Like it's really, really hard at the moment. But I'll look at some of these A-list actors, these financeable actors, and I will look at what they've done, and I will look at the box office of what they've done, and some of them don't make none. I just find it interesting because I'm like, okay, so what you're talking about isn't actually a conversion. If we're talking about the capitalist system, boo. But if we're talking about like an actor, a star, a name who brings in money,
financing,
that's not that person. But you're telling me my film can only get financed if I hire them. I look at box office returns now, all the time. Led, helmed, directed by this person, blah, and I will say they ain't made jack. They've had flop, and I don't believe in flops, right? I don't believe in flops. I feel like there will be a film that aligns with somebody somewhere out there, right? But I'm talking their language. Capitalism, big cigars, and I will look and be like, where? This is a myth around this person that you've created.
You're pretending there's data that backs up your own prejudice.
There's no data.
It doesn't really work in this era of Hollywood. There's maybe 10 bankable stars at most.
But even then. And this sort of goes all the way back to what I said before. All these paths of going this, and we do this in order to do this, or I need to do this in order to have this career, they're gone. Like all you've got to do is look at something like Heated Rivalry, which got like rejected absolutely everywhere. And right now the rhetoric is we don't want queer stories. That's not what people want. We need to think about how we can attract a viewership from people who are homophobes, essentially. And then that comes along and it does business like nothing else. But if you go in and pitch something like that, they'll be like, no, we just don't think. No, that's you being uncomfortable. That's not what people want. Queer people are still out there. People who aren't queer are still out there. They want these stories. They want to see men love upon each other, because all we do is see men say awful things
I want to see those men in the cottage. God damn. Right?
But they're so disengaged with what people want. Not they. I mean, I always say like the ominous they. That's also because I don't want to drop people in it and whatnot. But I just feel like there's these formulas don't work anymore. Celeb culture is something that is dying, I think, in a really good positive way. Like we need to really be engaged with what people want, but also be strong in the stories that we want to tell. Because build it and people will come.
Exactly.
And mean it and people will come. We can sniff out when things are rubbish and don't. That's why I always say, why are you doing it? Why have you made this? Why have you written this? Why are we all here? I think it's so, sort your why out, and the people who feel aligned with your story will find you.
Find it, exactly.
Speaking of, I'd love to just recognise that you are putting your money where your mouth is and creating these stories now yourself. You're writing, directing your own shorts.
And self-financing.
Self-financing. Woo! I mean, that's a wild thing to do in this climate, but, again, build it and they will come, I think. Or build it and you believe that it can be built.
Exactly.
Basically. Yeah.
One theme that comes up quite regularly in the work that you've written is bringing like black girlhood and experiences around black girlhood onto screen. Is that something that you're planning on continuing into the future? I know you've got a few projects in development, and perhaps some of your shorts, a potential sort of, you make a short sometimes as a pilot for a longer project.
Well, Dark Skin Bruises, that's going to be made into a feature, right?
That wasn't behind its conception. It was going to be a short. I'm very good at sort of just doing a short and being like, that's done.
And
Like,
then, okay.
my first short that got longlisted for a BIFA, Love the Sinner, I remember having all these discussions about how do we develop it into something else, and I went, no, it's a complete story. It's beginning, and I love shorts that are like that.
Yes.
And so I'd written and shot Dark Skin Bruises differently for it to be a whole complete story. But it was the audiences that I would meet, you know, at London Film Festival, you know, up at Bolton, and having these conversations with audiences and filmmakers who were like, so how do we know more? And I was like, okay.
There's appetite.
Yeah, there's appetite. And yeah, I do very specifically want to write about black female girlhood because, you know, I feel like it's something I know a bit about. But also I feel like that is an important contribution that I want to make to British independent film. And once I feel like I've made that, then I'll probably move on to something else. But I just feel like there's something about the genesis of us that I don't think is captured enough and centered enough on screen. I used to love watching films that, you know, had kids at the center of it, whether they were off on adventures or whatnot. E.T.
Like that
Flipper.
coming of age. Okay.
Free Willy. Like, I love those films.
Bangers.
But like, we don't have black girls at the center of those. And so I feel like there's just something I've got to sort out psychologically and make and give and then walk away. So
And you were directing as well.
I was directing. Yeah.
There is a shot in Dark Skin Bruises Differently.
Yeah.
When you pan the camera across and bring the girl
Yeah,
into
we
frame.
reveal,
I thought that was such a beautiful distillation of all of the purpose of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I really,
with that, it was like the reveal of her vulnerability and her smallness. If people don't know the story, there's a teacher called Miss Lawson who's at this sort of staff meeting discussing this young girl called Maria, and all the other teachers find quite distrustful of her. They think she's a liar, troublemaker, whereas Miss Lawson, who I play, is really trying to defend her. And then there's a sort of central kind of dilemma where Miss Lawson has to really decide whether she's going to throw this kid under the bus or save her career, and or you know, be honest about the situation. And what I wanted was, in the way that they were discussing Maria, for us to forget that she's a child. And actually, everyone that I spoke to, they always were quite shocked when they saw her, because the way they would speak about her it had this harshness that I really identify with. It was also about, like, when do we see her versus what we hear about her, and then how that makes you feel. I feel like that was always kind of the central crux of the short. But yeah, thank you.
And is it still in its festival circuit at the moment?
It's still in its festival circuit. It's going to be in San Francisco, Cleveland, Sunderland, and then it will be available for everyone to watch this year. We have some really exciting plans, so
fantastic.
Everybody will know what I'm talking about.
Well, we will be shouting about it when it
Yes,
comes
please.
out.
I have lots that I could talk to you about.
We could go on and on.
We'll have to do it off mic. Exactly.
Okay, brill. Well, into our quickfire, which I now can't find. Ooh, do you have a favourite road movie or car scene from a film? Because one of mine is you in the white limo in Children when you go like down the road.
The little tiny move.
Absolutely fantastic.
Oh God,
it's a car.
It's a car. It's a car. It's the end of Muriel's wedding when they say goodbye to Porpoise Spit.
Brilliant.
That's my favourite. Muriel's wedding is like one of my favourite films of all time. You know, like when they have big premieres and they've got like the big posters on the railings. I basically found one on eBay and framed it in my bathroom. It's
spectacular.
But yeah, it's only a little car moment, but yeah.
Nothing to say to that other than strong agree. And if you had to take a road trip or a long journey with anyone in the industry or a movie character, who would you pick to have in your car for that?
Ryan Coogler. I could listen to that man speak all day. The content of what he says and his accent.
The accent is so good,
Beautiful
isn't it?
voice.
I love it. Did you listen to the Amy Poehler? So good.
Yes, I did.
A couple of times.
I just love the way that he speaks about film and the precision of it.
Yeah.
And the, you know, at the heart of everything is creating your film family. I love love the care of film and his accent. It's Ryan Coogler. I'd just be like, whatever you want to say.
And then by proxy, you become best friends with Michael B. Jordan, which is never a bad thing.
It's never a bad thing.
See the game
never
plan,
a bad thing.
and I like it. Favourite cinema? Do you have a favourite cinema and why?
You know what? I'll tell you my favourite cinema. It doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
It was a Coronet cinema in Elephant and Castle.
Okay.
It's where I saw my very first film.
What was it?
It was Flipper with Elijah Wood.
Okay.
Excellent.
I remember there's a scene in it, making the toast with a blowtorch.
Yeah.
And my mum was she didn't get over, for many scenes afterwards, she's still laughing. I was like,
Mum, it's not that
that's
funny.
not okay, whatever. But Coronet Cinema, I used to see films there for 50p.
Oh, don't.
I famously got turned away for Titanic because I was too young. I tried to sneak in, didn't work.
Well, we could talk to you forever, but I think we might have to leave it there. Other than to say, we loved the quote that you gave once in an interview. I'll do that drama, I'll do that silly comedy, I'll go off and do Taskmaster, I'll go do a Tom Stoppard play, I'll go direct my own short film, I do what I like. Susan Wokoma, thank you for doing what you like. Please keep doing
what
it.
you do.
We love you. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Amazing.
Brill.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the BIFA Podcast supported by Kia. We really hope you enjoyed it. Please consider leaving us a like, a comment, rating the episode 5 stars, and above all, making sure to subscribe so that you can catch new episodes as they land every other Wednesday. Also, please consider telling a friend about it IRL so we can make sure all the film fans are able to find us. The BIFA Podcast is supported by Kia. The hosts were Karis, Aldridge and Joy Hunter. The show was produced by the BIFA team and filmed at Bleat Post Production. Thanks for listening.